Hi. Um, Today I'm going to be discussing why African American communities are why the economy in African American communities are driven by foreigners, typically foreigners from Asian descent, which means like Korean or Middle Eastern or Indian, etc. In order to understand this, we must first understand like the competitive advantage that entrepreneurs seek. See, when you're entering a market, you're looking for a highly profitable market with low competition. Um, and in Asian markets, or for Asians, um, it seems that African American markets are a gold mine. Now, this is because um, like white America isn't investing in African American communities. Now, if white America was investing in African American communities, then the Asian community will have competition. But white America isn't investing in African American communities because it's not deemed profitable enough by their current risk management strategies. But in Asian markets where people are looking to build a income for themselves, or in the Asian households or the Asian business owners where they're looking to build an income for themselves and they're operating with family money and not um, market tied money such as venture capital, um, then like the market's wide open. Now, the most obvious question is why aren't African Americans doing the same thing? Why can't African Americans be the competitors to the Asian market? First off, African American communities around the United States, and arguably around African communities around the world, arguably is like poor communities. The communities have been historically um, under resourced for a very long time, and at least in the U.S., this has been true for hundreds of years. So there's two ways to fight back. There's to fight back with money. Well, actually, there's only one way to fight back. It's to fight back with money, uh, um, but we know we can't gain capital from the capital market, such as bank loans. And also, when we look at how businesses are started in America, the number one funding source is family and friends. African Americans have generations and generations of ascendants who didn't have the privy to build wealth or get an education to build wealth. So there's a disadvantage that the system caused. It's not a disadvantage that African Americans caused themselves. It's a disadvantage that the systems caused. And in fact, when African Americans started to stand together and unite their money, we had like cities pop up like Black Wall Street that was again like firebombed by the U.S. government and white nationalists. So this is happening. This has happened to put African Americans at a in a position in which these communities are not able to um, be strong competitors. Now, I said there was. This is why I started off saying there was two ways of fighting back and being competitors in your own market. I was going to say money and then unity, but in reality, it's the unity of money that's needed in African American communities. Community ownership is something that's extremely important to the development of African American communities, and we have Asian money and Asian family money. It's not that one liquor store may be managed by one person, but he's operating with family money. That Korean shop is operating with family money, and the reason why Koreans um, own nail and hair salons is because that's where a lot of the nail and hair products come from. So, like there's a direct production chain from Korea to the African American community. So even if we were to compete in the Korean nail and hair salon business in African American communities, we'll still have a hard time because they have a very well established production chain. Um, and the Arab community has a well established financial chain established to allow them access to pay the $30,000 or the $300,000 for the liquor store license. Um, this is just how it's working in the minority community, and because the whites aren't able to, or the Caucasians aren't able to invest in African American communities because of the risk management or ERP strategies. Um, we and then African Americans are not able to get capital to invest in their own communities. It's wide open to individuals who's willing to take the risk for the reward, and for that reason, African American communities are prime targets for extracting capital um, via these types of business sources. Um, so the next time someone asks you why African Americans can't build their own businesses, ask them how would African Americans get capital, right? And then a lot of them will say stand together and unite, but that culture that drives people to unite has been stripped away from African Americans. I mean, you can get Arabs and Syrians and Mexicans to stand together and do things because that their culture, that thing that unites them, hasn't been stripped away from them like it has been stripped away from African Americans. You see Israelis, so it's Israelis they unite. Pakistanis, they're Pakistanis, they unite. Um, you can't see that here. You get countries like that where, like Israel and Pakistan, where there's two religions and or one religion, and people unite and have the same values and the same causes and the same culture. That's not true in the African American community. Um, Everything from the legal system to religion has divided African Americans and assists that uniting is the exception, right? Where in other cultures, um, someone not willing to stand with their culture or stand with their race is the exception. In African American communities, unity is one of those things that just does not exist. So, and it's not African Americans' fault. It is the fault of centuries of systematic social engineering. And I'm not here to blame anyone. I'm just like, this is the fact of the economy that we're working at. This is the fact of the social structure that has been designed, um, and the power that African Americans have right now is to understand the social engineering that's happening now and has happened in the past, and work towards ensuring that they protect their offsprings from the social engineering that's happening now. And the people that call themselves progressives also are taking a part of the social engineering. Some of the things that they're pushing for is going to be directly detrimental to African American communities and minorities. Um, Now the fight has switched from protecting African Americans and minorities to protecting Latinos, and protecting the LGBT community. In fact, protecting immigrants and LGBT is more socially acceptable and on Wall Street and DC than it is to say protect African Americans. So these are some of the issues that we must address if we want to build community-owned businesses in minority communities. And this is why I've been working to build and perfect a synergistic business planning system to allow any minority, any low capital, white, black, brown, or green, to get access to capital to build their businesses by avoiding the bank system and avoiding the existing systems that's being driven by risk management strategy, which is just exclusive to say the least. Um, so this is just my 2 cents of why um, these small communities are being these small minority communities are being dominated by Asians. The small African American communities are being dominated by Asians. I hope you guys gain some insight. Do your research, do your fact checking if you like. Until next time, peace.